Oh God, I wanna live another day so I can help provide equality
And
this
yes, you
day.
know the struggle goes on. People trying to survive, hold on. But we know it's been so long. Pain without a limit, so wrong.
Everybody round the globe, open up your earlobe, your third eye, and then decipher the code. Through knowledge, understanding, then bring love into the concept instead of bling bling. Truth instead of bias, educational methods, twisting, contorting God's message of love for every human being. Listen, motherfucker, don't you hear the screams? It's time to do much more than talk, debate, and spread hate. We need to think and at the same time investigate, understand what our actions may create. Before continuing the cycle we procreate, we can clone humans, but at the same time we can't feed humans. The future of man is actually looming. It's really depressing, it's true.
And yes, you know the struggle goes on. People trying to survive, hold on. But we know it's been so long. Pain without a limit, so wrong.
When I'm out walking, sometimes I think about, does love still exist? Yeah, I have my doubts. On the street, I check out how brothers be living. Yo, let's just say, kid, it ain't no Thanksgiving. We got people shooting dope, ain't never heard of hope. We got others with the gat and the brothers with the fucking scope. As I enter the project center rec rooms, some brothers might see the doom. I see my nigga Paulo, fat pockets of papes. He knows the neighborhood biddies with all the dopest shapes. There goes Rollo with the blowout fro. He's got a gat, and yo niggas gots to go. No show is live with narrating, fuck Memorex. My nigga Rollo's got a gat in Paulo's chest. One slug blasted out, down boy died. Now show me some love, kid, it sounds like a
And yes, you
fucking
know
lie.
the struggle goes on. People trying to survive, hold on. But we know it's been so long. Pain without a limit, so wrong.
Sometimes I think how the world come to this, a place where every man and woman needs a therapist. Mass confusion, people living in delusion, justify all the
What's up,
bullshit
everybody?
through the Constitution. Meanwhile,
Audio sounds, if audio on the mic is good. Hope everybody's been okay during these cold days. You know, cold. It's cold days. A lot of feedback coming out of the election. You know, I don't know what to tell people, but you know, I've told people a lot about my opinions over the last year, basically, and we've gone over a lot of information. What's up, Donnie? Hey, Andrea. Hello. I'm back. Exactly. YouTube made a mistake. They was a little too hard on a brother. You know, it's hard out here trying to combat systemic discrimination. You know. Basically of any form, of any type. And, you know, you could try to share the news and say, hey, look at what these people did. And somebody will come along and say, that's racist. Can't have that. You can't show a Trump supporter holding up a Nazi flag. Can't do that. No. You can't report on that, you know, because I don't know if YouTube uses bots to examine stuff or if there are people that are even looking at who and what they're judging. You know, completely. It's obvious not. So mistakes happen, but that's the system I'm using right now. I'm using the YouTube system, and you know, they have their own way of doing it. I could post the same thing on Facebook, and maybe Facebook doesn't see it as racist, although, hey, they're supposed to be following all the same guidelines. It's amazing, you know, it's amazing. But I guess the platform's got to be a little different. But in any case, I actually just came back. Oh, and let me know if the audio was good. Can you hear me? Let me check the audio real quick. Check 1 2 1 2. Okay, it seems good. You know, since I've been using this other platform now to stream with, I haven't really been checking the audio settings, but in the playback, I realized they've been a little low or maybe a little inconsistent with the past. But let me know how the audio is on the microphone. and otherwise. But message going out to all expats, people, American citizens living outside of the U.S. for whatever reasons, right? And for work, for military, or for family reasons, kind of like how Trump's wives live in the US, you know what I'm saying? And come from other countries, kind of like that. Not sure if people need to review that, how that system works, but like that, I'm American and I happen to live outside of the US. And so I've been sharing and documenting a lot about that. But word out to the other expats, I sent in for my passport to be renewed. You know what I'm saying? Of course, before it runs out, but just in case, even if it's not running out right away, you might want to look into it before this new regime takes power. That's all I can say to you. And the processing time takes 30 days, according to the embassies, or the one that I'm in contact with, right? In the country I am, takes 30 days normal processing fee, time, right? If nothing else goes wrong, right? But if I recall back in 10, what is it, 8 years ago, something like that? Yeah. It's 8 years ago. I had a similar, this was when Trump had been elected, but wasn't the president. He was the incoming president. And if I remember right, out of nowhere came a lot of strange things out of, just something so simple, and I don't know what that was, but in the end, I got frustrated and I told him, you know what? Fuck it. I don't want it. And this was after some months and months and months of waiting. I'm like, I'm not accustomed to waiting. I work. Imagine if you told your boss, wait. Listen, boss, wait. And the American taxpayers and citizens, we are actually the bosses. We're the bosses in this situation. Without us, they don't have no money to fuck up or screw over or operate on. So, I'm not accustomed to waiting or being asked some extra questions. No, that's not what I'm accustomed to. I come from the other America where you do or you fail. You see? So I've got accustomed to that kind of situation in life. So I deal with things that way. I deal with them quickly, straight to the point. You see? And then whatever happens after that it's not on you. You don't control the world. You don't control what others do. But I told the embassy, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. This was after some months because I can't keep checking my email waiting for something from them. I'm already paying. I'm already asking for the service. I'm already ready, expecting it, And finally, they wrote me back. After I wrote, fuck it, forget it. They wrote me back. I'm sorry, Mr. Bennett. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Very sorry, Mr. Bennett. There seems to be some sort of, blah, 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 misunderstanding. And I was like, okay, but that's so funny because it came after me writing in, fuck it. Literally. So I'm telling American citizens, if you expect to get a passport in the next 4 years from Trump or any agency operating the authority of the president of the United States, you might want to think about, do you just want a new one? You see? For whatever reasons, that's all I got to say. But in any case, I did that. It took me about 2 hours. I had to go, had to research, had to go out because the place where I get the photos taken the last time, it's not there. It used to be there for a long time, but there was another place close by. So I went there, and then I was lucky because I also didn't print out my stuff. So I asked, can you print this out for me too? So I was able to get two things done at once. And then head back and drop it off at the post office, right? So now, I ain't trying to wait for Trump to get in office. I want my damn passport because I got other things to do. You know what I'm saying? And being a citizen of the United States, you know what I'm saying, and a law-abiding one, I'm expecting them to jump on it with no prejudice. You see, but in any case, let's get to the news. I missed people, YouTube really, threw a monkey wrench in the game plan, but that's okay. I have to learn. I do make mistakes and I have to learn. But let me see here. If I go to history, I have to say it's two things I need to review. Roland Martin and Midas Touch. Because they both are giving some really good analysis. And the combination of the two, because I like Roland Martin because he deals with the African network. What is it? What's the brother's name? It's another tag. What is his name? He's always on the show, but I forget his name. I'm sorry. That's so terrible too, because I'm actually subscribed to his page. What is it called? African something? I think it's Imhotep is the brother that does it, right? And it's actually he's on Roland Martin a lot, and he gives some really good analysis, especially about reparations and information on that background on it, but also details like in terms of the argumentation. And he was saying what we've been saying over here a lot, if you have to follow the law, because a lot of things might sound one way and it turns out to be another. And, you could get confused about your expectations and what you expect from a civil servant, right? So knowing the law and knowing how the system works is to your advantage. If you want to outcome that's doable for you, that's positive for you. But check this out. Let's go over to Ben Meiselas because he gave excellent commentary.
We've now reached the point in Donald Trump's disastrous transition where the mommy of one of the key cabinet picks is saying, please give my son the nuclear codes. And I promise you, if you give him the nukes, he'll stop being an alcoholic. He'll stop drinking. Trust me. All that stuff was in the past. He's going to
right. He's talking about some of the people Trump are, trying to get appointed to these, seats.
Be a good guy. I mean, when you really want to know what DEI means in the MAGA sense, it's didn't earn it. And Trump's got the real DEI picks. We'll break it down. Also, we see this Doge committee, this fake agency created by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy.
You got to go back because Ben Meiselas, he did a good breakdown on the crypto network also and how the crypto world is working in reality, right? Not according to the coin makers, but the government, right? And there's some good information, about how that market works and how you need to be cautious if you invest in it, right? And he gives an excellent breakdown on the whales, the big movers and shakers in the crypto world that move their money around from crypto to crypto, and they're the ones that cause it to spike, to rise. And then so a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to buy into that one too and make some money, right? But you need to know why it's doing that, because you want to get your money out before the whale pulls their money out too. Otherwise, what is it worth, right? He gives a good breakdown on that. And some of the hustling schemes with the crypto, even connected to Trump. But nonetheless, let's hear some more. It's funny.
They met exclusively with MAGA Republicans. Well, I don't know how you can give this Doge committee the benefit of the doubt about anything. They refused to meet with Democrats. They just met with the Republicans, and they're out there leaking, we're going to cut the veterans' benefits. Oh, we're going to gut your education. We're going to make you squeal. And it does seem, though, right now, there is this F around and find out moment right now, which I don't love the F around and find out stuff because it still means people are feeling pain. And just as a human being, I don't like to see people feel pain, but I hope it's becoming increasingly obvious that all of the things that you're upset about, a lot of them are being caused by people like Donald Trump and Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy and their entire ilk. Doesn't it seem like the
These dudes are all billionaires. Since when do people trust billionaires? Since when do people trust billionaires? I don't understand it. It's not making sense to me. When do the poor people and the middle class people trust billionaires in the United States of America? Where is that? That's like the new hip hop. You know what I'm saying? It's like, why is this other stuff coming out? You know what I'm saying? Why the skinny jeans? You know, all this new stuff, and you always wonder why. And guess what? Here's why.
oligarchical billionaires are like doing a victory lap in our faces and like quite literally spiking the football in our end zone, in our faces, pointing their fingers at us and laughing. I just think that we, the people, aren't going to take it. And I think people are wising up now. Again, a little bit too late, but it's important that we channel the energy in the right direction about all of these things that we are seeing. Also, more of Donald Trump's cabinet picks are quitting or leaving or being forced out. We saw his pick for the Drug Enforcement Agency, the DEA. He committed the cardinal sin in MAGA. There was video of him from a few years back saying that he supports pride parades where he was a sheriff in Florida. You can't do that if you're going to go MAGA. Child sex trafficking allegations, A-okay. But if you're ever supportive of being inclusive in a community where you're a sheriff, get out of here. It's ridiculous stuff. It's not even funny. It's like really sicko stuff, but we got to really focus on what's going on. And also want to talk about how Donald Trump is pushing our allies closer to our trade adversaries. Yeah, you know, when you threaten tariffs and you bully people, you may just start pushing people like the Mexico President Claudia Sheinbaum to strengthen their ties to places like China. You may actually be strengthening the BRICS bloc made up of Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and others when
Donald Trump is going against the U.S. best interest. He's going against U.S. policy on all levels, you know, or he's talking like it. He's talking like it, which is just as dangerous because it doesn't matter if you let a person say it, then it shall too come to pass, you know? So right now, people are letting Trump say a lot without getting much feedback, much flack back. Not really, because we're not talking about somebody stealing, you know, some clothes, or we're not talking about somebody robbing a bank for $10,000, or we're not talking about, you know, the millions of other petty schemes out there. We're talking about gigantic scheming, you know, like who thinks to rob the government of what? Its own constitution? You know, find ways where you can be a king and all the revenue, those $27 trillion a year, can go to your pockets for a little while instead of what it's intended to do. I mean, yeah, it's not looking good.
You have Russia and you have China telling the other BRICS members you can't trust the United States. They're just going to arbitrarily hit you with tariffs. And then Donald Trump does just that. We'll talk about that and more. It's the Midas Touch podcast. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by Brett and Jordy. So good to be here. And there just does feel to be, with each passing day, I think, a broader recognition of what's really going on here. Like, okay, too late, but the
Okay, hold on. I'm going to flip it now just a little bit to this part here.
News of the day with you guys. Jordy, what's new on your end? How you doing?
Excited for today's show, brothers. Midas and find out, because deep down that just means that folks are hurting. But you know, look, this is what's happening right now, and we can't bury our heads in the sand, and we have to report on it with data and facts that we'll bring here tonight at the Midas Touch podcast. Benji,
just take a look at this. So you have Jeff Bezos doing his
Here we go.
victory lap.
So you want to start a coding career?
Oh, shit.
We can help with that. We're code.
All right. Sorry about that. Here we go.
It's worth 226 billion. Just take a look at this. So you have Jeff Bezos doing his victory lap. He's worth $226 billion, right? And he's out there saying, look, there's a real big problem here with too many regulations. That's really preventing businesses from really growing in the United States of America. Dude, you're worth $226 billion. I just want you to watch. This is from a recent New York Times summit that he attended. Just watch what he says here.
How much money does one person need? This guy is worth $200 billion and crying about there's restrictions.
I want to talk about it. Let's play it.
If we're talking about Trump, I think it's very interesting. I'm actually very optimistic this time around that we're going to see. I'm very hopeful about this. He seems to have a lot of energy around reducing regulation. And my point of view, if I can help him do that, I'm going to help him.
What about the idea that he thinks that the press...
When people say that, they should think slavery. When you hear a person with that much money running companies, what's his company? Amazon, right? Isn't that his company? Jeff Bezos, I believe. Hold on. Let me see something here. Did I type that right? Okay, here we go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he is. Exactly. I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure. This is the guy from Amazon who's saying this. This is the guy from Amazon. Listen.
Is the enemy.
Of energy around about this. We're going to see. I'm very hopeful about this. He seems to have a lot of energy around reducing regulation. And my point of view, if I can help him do that, I'm going to help him.
What about the idea that he thinks that the press is the enemy?
Well, I think I'm going to try to talk him out of that idea. I don't think the press is the enemy. And I don't think, he's also.
Yeah, because he owns.
What about the fact that he's like,
look, these billionaires like to own the media.
Talking like a fascist, he's going to shut down your newspaper. I'm going to talk him out of it. But look, I think I'm very optimistic. I'm hopeful, he goes, and he seems to have a lot of renewed energy in getting rid of the regulations. Like let's be very clear. The structures that are in place now that President Biden tried to deconstruct, the structures right now that began with Reaganomics, that's what people are pissed about, right? There was a time when CEOs would make a lot of money, and it's okay. See, it's a tough job. I get it. CEOs should be paid well. Entrepreneurs should be paid well. I get it, right? But it went from like 30 times the salary of an employee to 300 times the salary to 3,000 times the salary, and
you see exactly. And when that happens, of course. Where are the services for the taxpayer? Where's the infrastructure development? Where's the investment in education? Americans are paying for theirs. Okay, they pay taxes and they pay extra for education. And then they're told with their tax dollars that they can't have better than that when everyone else in every Western country around the world is getting better than that. So at some point it's an insult to Americans. I mean, if you feel insulted, then that means you're clever and intelligent, because if you don't feel insulted by that, you know, you won't feel insulted by anything, you know,
We
really.
get to a point where the minimum wage doesn't grow for like 40 plus years, while the rich
National minimum wage in the USA was changed last in 2009 and it was set at $7. Who can survive on $7 an hour? In what state? What city you living in? Tell me, because I got a job for you. You know what I'm saying? If you're willing to work for $7 an hour, call me. That's the US. And a lot of those red states that voted for Trump, what's their minimum wage? Exactly. It's the Democrat states, led states that have higher minimum wages. So what does that tell you? And it can't all be explained by cost of living and la la la. No. We're talking minimum wage. That's a distinct thing, you know, in itself. Just that, nothing else.
keep getting richer over and over again. So there are people who are struggling to pay their bills, and you have the rich buying more yachts. 5 yachts isn't enough. We need 15 yachts. Really? You need 15 massive yachts? 1 or 2 private jets, Gulfstream 600s. You need 10 Gulfstream 600s. And just whenever there's a conversation about raising the minimum wage to being a living wage, oh my God, that's going to destroy all the business. You're going to put us out of business. Okay, look, I'm happy to have that discussion if we want to talk about it, but we should also then have the discussion about what about the CEO who's making $50 million? What about Elon Musk who's giving himself a pay package of $51.2 billion? What
Look,
about
all these broke asses voted for people that already are paid to get even more money? You broke asses. See, that's what I don't understand. I mean, isn't that supposed to be a thing? Like, if you're from a certain class, you stick together. Didn't that used to be a thing at some time? Where every broke ass that's in debt understands to stand together with the other broke asses, right? But in this case, the broke asses, they voted, and not just the broke asses, the ones most closest to the broke asses too, right? They voted for all people that are already rich to rob them of the rest. And this is real talk here. Whoever is behind that, you have to give them their credit, because that's not warfare mastering the conventional weapons of war. No. That may be psychological warfare. Yes. Very likely. And respect does not mean worship or, follow or misunderstand at all about any other element of leadership, right? But looks like Americans got the wool pulled over their eyes this time around. So
what if
yeah, and I'm enjoying this Ben Marsalis Midas Touch one right here. It's called Live Trump Screws His Term Before It Starts. And this was this was 12 hours ago, but it's so hilarious. It is so hilarious. It's just beautiful. Yeah.
about the fact that workers are just getting utterly screwed, and one of their things that protected them was unions. But now you have a situation where, let's be clear, I don't care if Donald Trump appointed someone who seems to be pro-union as the labor secretary or as pro-union as you can be as a Republican. They're going to gut the National Labor Relations Board. Don't matter who the labor secretary is, if there is no forum for you to grieve, for you to
Listen, you pay state taxes and you pay federal taxes. But if the federal government is not led wisely, it harms the states. That's what you're dealing with here. The dynamic that the executive branch has over the state level stuff, right? You know, the federal and then the state, right? So, you know, people have literally voted for somebody who is very likely going to be mostly hostile towards members of any state, even if you are Republican, you know, even if you are, and that's been pointed out to him before. Like all the states are not, you know, Republican or Democrat. Some of them are split. Some counties are heavily Republican. Some counties are heavily Democrat. In a state that can be the opposite. You see, you don't ever want to harm. So, but Trump, he just kind of burn it all down, scorch earth. That's really what his approach is, scorch earth. You know, and that is, if you're an American and you don't see that as an insult, I don't know what to say to you. I don't know what to say to you. You really are accustomed to being treated like shit, apparently, you know, really.
assert grievances for labor. That's the National Labor Relations Board created by FDR. Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos have been arguing before the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. The whole entire National Labor Relations Board should simply not exist. And let's be clear, Trump's going to gut the NLRB. So when I watch like the Teamsters, you know, on their social media account, and Sean O'Brien loves Mar-a-Lago. He loves that rubber steak at Mar-a-Lago. He runs there. Thank you, Donald Trump. Thank you, Donald Trump. Dude, Donald Trump's going to destroy the Teamsters, you freaking idiot. Like, what do you think Trump is going? All of these wins that they post on the Teamsters account, I feel genuinely bad because the rank and file are going to get screwed of the Teamsters. But it's like, we won the formation of this union. We won. Where do you think you won that at? The very boards that Trump wants to dismantle. And watch this. And then, Brett, I want to throw to you. Here is Elon Musk within the past year or so talking about that he doesn't think the idea of a union should exist. And that's actually his policy. He goes, because unions create, you can't make this stuff up, a lord versus peasant dynamic. So let's be clear. These billionaires, these Trump-backed billionaires, these billionaires backing Trump, this cycle of oligarchical fascism is out there selling this. And Sean O'Brien, as a leader of the Teamsters, isn't pushing back against it, that unions shouldn't exist and that unions create the lord versus peasant dynamic, not the actual oligarchical lords who are worth hundreds of billions of dollars.
They are trying to fuck with people's minds, you know, but he's breaking it down. Ben Marcellus is breaking it down right here. You know, all I could say is I'm watching from the outside, of course. You know, I'm watching from the outside. I'm listening. Tell me what's going on the streets of the United States of America. Let me know what it's worth. Being a U.S. citizen is worth. Holler back at your boy. Let me see here.
People in living conditions that are below living wages in peasant-like conditions. Here, play this clip.
I disagree with the idea of unions, but perhaps for a reason that is different than people may expect, which is I just don't like anything which creates kind of a lords and peasants sort of thing. And I think the unions naturally try to create.
This guy came from South Africa where they raped women, South African women's bodies, and stole their minerals. And he's moved to the U.S. talking about a peasant. You know, how come? It's also, this is an interesting trend with these ultra right wingers that really don't have any contact with the U.S., no connection, no background with the U.S. at all. You know, the Sean Hannity's of the, is it Sean Hannity's ass? Like a second? Yes, he's second generation, right? First generation American, something like that, right? From Ireland, I believe, right? But what's up with these immigrants that are that are like trying to be hostile towards the average people? And we're not talking about a petty thing like, oh well, you know, I'm from this ethnicity and they're from that ethnicity and over here. No, I'm talking about common basic rights, things that everyone is supposed to understand. You know, they seem to be moving into the country wanting to be or seeing average Americans in a hostile way, right? And this is a perfect example of it. He's not poor though, you see, but the average American there's more poor Americans than there are people that have his amount of money. That's for damn sure. The average American won't come close to having his kind of money. But get this straight, he hates basically half of the United States of America easily, only for political purposes to line his own pockets. I mean, how do you elect a leader that is willing to just let anyone who lines his pockets line their own pockets? I mean, you can't be more of a prostitute than that. And that's what this is. This is political prostitution, you know, literally, male or female, whoever. This is what he's showing it to be, you know, because he's coming there and willing to promote the rhetoric of Trump just to align his own pockets or get power. But he's a second generation American and he's a billionaire. He didn't come to the US poor. He didn't come to the US middle class. He didn't even come to the US rich. He came ultra rich, you know, and he's already voting and moving against the interest of the average person who is not. That you should be concerned about. People should be concerned about that. It's not him just being an immigrant. No, some immigrants don't think like that at all. There's some billionaires that don't think like him, but listen, billionaires are a special breed. No one needs $1 billion in the first place. So let's get that straight. No one needs $1 billion. You're not somebody's friend with $1 billion. That's for damn sure. You know, not that much, not like this. Maybe with the little billionaires, you know, 1 billion, 2 billion. Yeah. Okay. That world might still be real. This is way past that. Him, Jeff, what's this guy's name again? The Amazon dude, Jeff Bezos. Right. Yeah, I said it right. Jeff Bezos. He's got $200 trillion. I mean, billions. I'm sorry. $200 billion. $200 billion. If you think this guy is looking out for your best interest, you're a goddamn fool. You are a fool. It is your job to keep people like this in check. They are using you. They're using your government to line their pockets. And everybody is supposed to be against that. You know, that's what gets me about racist. Like, you could talk a big racism game, you know, talk race this, kick out the foreigners, this, do all of this shit. But then all of a sudden you find out, no, you're just working for these motherfuckers. You know, you're just working for the slave master, basically, because the government is supposed to be breaking the slave master's ass, you know, making sure he doesn't take advantage of the people. It's a union. The United States government is basically the biggest union of the people. You vote on it. You get a vote. You get a say in it. You pay the taxes, though. It's a union. So, you know, is this what you want representing you? Yeah.
Negativity in a company and create a sort of lords and peasants situation.
Tesla factory workers in California are working so hard they're passing out on the production line.
Exactly. They're passing out on the production line. You hear that? He's talking about, he's acting like he's not. He's gaslighting people. That is so crazy.
Brett, did you notice
Hold
too
on.
that
Situation.
Tesla factory workers
naturally try to create negativity in a company and create a kind of sort of lords and peasants situation.
Tesla factory workers in California are working so hard they're passing out on the production line. Tesla factory workers in California are working so hard they're passing out on the production line.
Basically, another phony. And if you let this fool who's doing a terrible job at lying just get away with that, you are a damn fool. Like, flat out. Who taught you your basic lessons in life? Like, damn. This is just
situation.
Tesla factory workers in California are working so hard they're passing out on the production line.
Brett, did you notice too that both of those were about a year apart, but at the New York Times same summit?
That's actually quite interesting. I didn't pick up on that. That's such a genius point. You know, this week there was that ruling in the Delaware court where the judge once again rejected Elon Musk's $56 billion shareholder package. And I know everybody's thinking, oh, I feel so bad for him. How's that guy gonna survive?
No.
Poor Elon, right? Well, for those who are feeling a little bad for Elon Musk, in like the past month itself, Elon Musk's net worth has ballooned $91 billion since the election of Donald Trump.
$91 billion since the election. How much did your pockets get? Where's your raise? You want somebody like this anywhere close? You know, like, is it really like that? Damn, y'all, some suckers. Most people, I mean, what is prejudice for in the first place? What's racism for? I thought racism would keep out, you know, anybody from just buying up anything. Apparently, racism doesn't do that. That's what I'm finding out here. What it does is allow any old body with the money. That's what it does. That's what it's doing, like, flat out. And I'm not just saying, because we're not dealing with just Elon Musk here. We're dealing with a group of them. What's these other Trump folks? What's the guy? Hold on, man. I think they're going to bring him up in a second.
He's worth
Ramaswamy,
something like
Ramaswamy?
$353 billion, possibly more than that. You know, it could hover with the various stock prices of his companies and whatnot. But, you know, I just think on some level, Elon Musk has kind of radicalized me a little bit. I'm going to be totally honest here, because in a way, I used to kind of think like, you know what, if you want to get rich, if you want to build a company, do it, be my guest, get as rich as you want to get. You know, if that's your thing, good. Just make sure that you know, people are taken care of. The issue is that those two things seemingly can't coexist. And when somebody is as rich as an Elon Musk, what we're learning now by seeing it right in front of our eyes is the fact that an Elon Musk could literally buy our entire government. He could buy influence that is actually dangerous to everything. And not to mention the fact.
So a lot of people are hearing this and they're saying, well, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. He could buy this. Oh, hold on for a second. I'm sorry. Hold on. Got to take the door.
That a lot of the issues that people have in their daily lives, and once again, ironically, many of the issues that kind of brought people like Donald Trump back to power and brought Elon Musk to have a seat at the table at this new White House are issues like housing and issues like crime and issues. You could go through them all. And let me just posit this for a moment. Do you think if Elon Musk made a few less $1 billion and there was a stronger social safety net to actually support folks from falling into homelessness, you think we'd have a better situation in this country? Do you think we'd have less crime in this country? Do you think things would be operating better? Do you think workers would be happier? Do you think there would be more people in houses? I think we would actually have a much better country, and Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos would still be pretty darn rich. But people would actually be able to survive in this country. They'd be thriving. They wouldn't have this discontent that they are having right now, that we are seeing. And once again, I'm going to keep repeating it, that ironically led to Donald Trump, the image of the oligarch out there, the oligarch, and Elon Musk, getting them into positions of power over that discontent. It's this vicious cycle that we are seeing right now. But I think people's anger is often misdirected, and it's misdirected. This is why Fox spends billions of dollars. This is why they have, what has it been, $14.92 billion that they have to spend every year. This is why there's so much money poured into this right-wing podcast ecosystem, because they want to be able to distract everybody with what? They want to distract people with trans issues. They want to distract people with all this other stuff in order to try to divide people at that cultural level.
Sorry about that. I had to grab something. It was the door. But listen, who are all these people that are around Trump, right? Let me see. Where they at? Right here? Okay. Let me see. Who are these people? There's Susie Wiles. Can y'all hear me? Let me know if the mic is good too. There's Susie, what does it say here? Susie Wiles, serving as the top campaign manager. J.D. Vance, U.S. Senator. Right? Okay. But here's where it gets more interesting. Tom Harmon, appointed as head of ICE. Harmon is expected to lead aggressive immigration enforcement. Okay. Boris Epstein, longstanding advisor. Okay. Elon Musk, Robert Kennedy Jr. But these are not the extended ones. What about, let me see. What about, what is it? What's the other guy's name? Okay, let me see. Maybe there's got to be, I forget the popular persons. It's some other billionaires attached to Trump, in other words, and that are in his cabinet or expected to be in his cabinet, right? But in any case, let me see something here. What's up? Here we go. Let me see. Andrea. It's ridiculous how we got to this point. You don't need a degree in accounting and economics to know this shit is wrong. Yeah, this shit is absolutely, it's just totally sad. But you're there, Andrea. I mean, I'm wondering, this is what it feels like to me too, but I wonder, are Americans going to start saying this? I mean, because they don't have to accept it, even though they've officially, maybe elected. It's not totally official. It's not totally official yet. People need to speak their minds, because there seems like there's some bad actors coming. Good morning, everyone. Hey, yeah, okay, you're back. You're back now. How you doing? Things worth knowing. How you doing? Glad you're here. Yeah, this is outrageous. But let me see. Let me just flip it over real quick. They're making too many excellent points in this podcast right here. So let me drop that in the chat for people that want to check it out later. Yeah, let me see here. I'll just write it here. Midas touch, right? Yeah, and boom. So people can check them out. Now let me go over to Roland. Hold on. Let me see. Well, damn. I thought I would have a better list than this. Yeah, so I'm not gonna say the list until I can verify it really. But let's go back to Roland. Let me see. Here we go. Right, this one was really good. Also, I got a chance to hear a little bit of it. It's it took place 7 days ago, but it's still good actually.
Distract you and make sure that you're pointing that out.
Crockett
Other
Here we go.
reasonable dictionary
which, and this is why they're going to keep losing.
Sorry about that.
Right now is Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas. Glad to have you on the show. Things got a little funky. Talking about bring the funk on Capitol Hill. So you, Congresswoman Summer Lee, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, you got these Republicans who are acting a fool, talking about, how oppressed they are as white men. And the things have just been so rough, Congresswoman. They're having a difficult time in this world because the oppression that they're facing. And then you got these commentators out there saying, see, right there. Congresswoman Crockett, she's the problem. That's the problem with these Democrats. They keep using this woke language, and this is why they're going to keep losing.
Yeah. So, interestingly enough, I was watching commentary from the New Zealand Parliament, and there was a line that really caught me as they're having kind of this struggle as it relates to Indigenous people. And the line was, when you are accustomed to privilege, to then have to deal with equality makes you feel as if you are oppressed. And that line hit me so deep because that's exactly what it is. These are people that have enjoyed privilege their entire lives.
You know what? That is exactly what we're talking about here. If you don't know that about privilege, that is exactly what it is. That's why you don't want all those billionaires. And you have to check, to be in offices like this, I think really requires is civil duty, civil servants, it really does require you be the average. The average, you don't need to, it shouldn't be that because what makes a good American or a decent American, how much money you have. That cannot be what the, government is represented by. You see, you need people that understand the average American. And the best way to understand the average American is to be one. And a billionaire is not an average American. It's nothing against billionaires, but they're just not. That's not the average experience. So you lack experience in being American. And if we're going to judge being American on, how much money you have, well, then a lot of Americans are going to be shit out of luck, regardless of their sacrifices or their duty or how, how otherwise they may do well in their lives, to the public, just in general, their communities they live in. So people need to take note of this. I mean, be racist, but don't be dumb, because this is beyond racist. What's going on here? This is like, it's very interesting. It's also very interesting how racism seems to open up the doors to this stuff. When you lean on that too much, it's like, look at what sneaks in, basically.
Whether they want to recognize it or not. And for literally everyone, because I kept saying, where's Byron? Where is Byron? Is Byron about to jump in this? Because I want to see what Byron has to say, because Byron served on the committee as well. But for some reason, Byron wasn't around to debate this particular bill being marked up. And the author of it, Representative Cloud out of Texas, was complaining that right now they are being oppressed. And then there was an issue with Higgins out of Louisiana, where he was arguing that he had been oppressed because Ayanna Pressley asked him to stop misusing the legacy of Martin Luther King and basically honor the wishes of Martin Luther King's family. And he said, see, y'all are trying to oppress me. You're trying to take away my First Amendment right. And it was just frustrating because they consistently use this language and they really don't understand what oppression is, or they want to pretend like they don't understand. And that's why I needed to make sure I reminded them of what Google has defined oppression as. And I'm sure any other reasonable dictionary defines oppression in a similar way. And they are not being oppressed. They are whining little men.
You mentioned New Zealand, and of course, Parliament was temporarily shut down.
What do you think of the representation or the lack of representation of women in this guy's cabinet? Like, what do y'all think about that? I know what I would think a woman would think, you know what I'm saying? Like, especially as you hear from Jasmine Crockett, right? She doesn't buy that shit. She's not cool with that shit. But apparently there's a lot of women who seem to be okay with it. Like, what's up with that? That is so, but I guess there's no one way to judge what being a woman would be like, right? Because we're often told that like women, they're thinking about their families, You grew up hearing that, right? But then somebody will vote against their families, vote against housing, vote against education. Voting against housing and voting against education is voting against your families if you're the average American. That's just insane. Voting against healthcare. You're voting against your own family. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that just insane? But yet there's a lot of people who do, even women. It just what's going on? Is an asteroid coming? Maybe some of that other stuff is true now because it's looking real funny on Earth. Let's see here. They're not trying to sneak stuff in. They're using a bulldozer to do. I think you might be right. Anyway, folks, I'm gonna keep it short today. Let's hear some more of this.
This is what after Maori lawmakers performed a haka, a traditional dance demonstrating the community's anger over you talking about the treatment of indigenous people in that particular bill. Pull the audio up, y'all, real quick. Come on.
But are we going to get these broke ass Americans to do this? They may not even they don't see themselves as the same. Isn't that the irony? But, these are indigenous people talking too, right? What's up with that? Everybody wants to talk about who's American. What about the indigenous Americans? Like, who's the real American? Look up billionaire Koch brothers. Yeah, exactly. The Koch brothers, too. They're behind Trump. They've been financing Trump, But what I mean is you could always expect that. But in his own cabinet, what's the guy's name? Ramaswamy? Hold on. Ramaswamy. You know what I'm talking about? Let me drop the link here anyway. Yeah, but before I cut out, I'm just going to drop the link. But he has some cabinet members. I'm sorry, I forget who these dudes are. They're people you see every day in the media. It's one of them is, I think, is from East Africa, but his family is from India, and the other one is a first generation Indian American. It's two different guys, and I'm not pointing them out because of that reason, but in terms of being a foreigner or immigrant yourself, right? Because, that's what a lot of Americans, we have natives, when they have to hear everybody else say, we're American. There's another dynamic too with the persons that have the background that have been in America for like hundreds of years too. It's not only the natives now. So there's others too. And when they hear that somebody's an American for 1 year and you out there and you hating immigrants, it looks kind of weird. Or when you're out there joining forces with the people that are going to oppress, that's kind of weird. It just doesn't really make sense. I mean, and it's almost like trying to outdo the American thing, outdo the Americans, man. You'll never be able to do that. Just like if your families came to America 200-300 years ago, you'll never be able to change what happened to the natives and Native Americans and how they feel. You'll never be able to change that because you exist. You're living proof of what happened to them. You see what I mean? So we, there's context to it all to being American. Well, these folks right here, they putting it out there.
Oh, come on. I wish y'all break out in the haka on the floor of the house.
Yes.
I don't necessarily see that happening, but there is this movement of the far right that we're experiencing right now where it's all about whitewashing. It's all about deleting. In fact, again, in that same scenario in New Zealand, they talked about the colonization. And one of the things that I wanted to make clear is that oppression looks like what my ancestors have endured, and they have nothing to reflect upon as it relates to their ancestors being oppressed in any way. If anything, they were the ones that were inflicting the oppression, at least their ancestors were. And that was why I wanted to remind them of that. But that's also why it's so dangerous that they want to delete Black history from our history books, because if you don't know your history, then you're doomed to repeat it. And when you see the likes of, say, a Byron Donalds out there who wants to glorify things such as Jim Crow, it is important that they recognize that there are those Black folk like me, like Rep. Ayanna Pressley, like Rep. Summer Lee, that will not allow them to delete us and delete our pain out of history and then decide to move forward and inflict more pain.
This was a study done from researchers at Tufts University School of Arts and Sciences and Harvard Business School, where we're at a point now where whites believe that they are the victims of racism more often than Blacks. I talked about this in my book, White Fear, how the browning of America is making white folks lose their minds. I said in this book that we are living, I've been giving these speeches since 2009. And I was saying then, so the last 15 years, I've been saying we are living in this age of white minority resistance. We're living in this age where white Americans feel as if they are being discriminated against, they're being targeted, they're losing opportunities. So you got this DEI thing, you got all this sort of stuff like that. And they have created this hysteria that, oh my God, that their world is crumbling down. And
they created the hysteria where they allowed the wealthy class to walk on in, basically, unbeknownst to them, unbeknownst to the white people that feel they're, victims of racism, unbeknownst to them. They just openly flooded the gates, Yeah. Anyway, y'all, I got to go. But I appreciate it. And I'll back soon. Things worth knowing. I'm glad you're good. You're doing good. And I'll catch up with y'all soon. Peace, everybody. One.